Hey everyone, welcome to week 47. My name's Todd Savvas and this is your week 47, and Spirit has labeled this week the Agitated Phoenix, meaning that there was going to be a great theme of transformation through death, but there was going to be a fair bit of agitation that probably came from it as well. So let's have a look at the cards that we had for this week, and then we can explain how that all ties in and hopefully what we can learn from it. So very first card that you had this week was Past Life Wisdom is coming into you. And so whenever this card is present, it means that there's going to be learning or information that comes from your past life experiences or cycles. And so this at the very start of the week was sort of setting the tone that you were going to uncover cycles, habits, patterns, behaviors, even relationships with people that all share a commonality or a connection to your past lives, which is essentially karma. So by understanding and identifying this was going on, you were going to then be able to choose to get out of it, because ultimately you want something different, and that's where the frustration of this week comes from. You want to be somewhere other than where you are, whether that's in career, whether it's in relationships, whether that's in health, whether that's in spiritual gifts or destiny, family, it doesn't really matter. But there will be a component that's, this isn't where I want to be. So the Spirit's trying to say, okay, so what are the elements you're putting into this? They need to change. And you will have seen that because there will be something cyclical to do with what's been going on. Meaning there will be something that's a very identifiable pattern or behavior or cycle. So the next card that we moved into was the Jinn. So the Jinn is all about the Spirit, essentially the Jinn, stepping forward and saying, I will grant a wish for you. But you need to put yourself in a position where you're going to be in alignment with that wish, or that energy that can create that wish for you. And this coming after Past Life Wisdom is coming into you is really saying that there's a bridge or there's a gap between where you are and what you want. And so Spirit wanted to show you that that gap exists and to lead you out of it and towards the zone of where you'll be able to receive that wish. The card after that was Cast Your Intent. And this card being present, it's always essentially Spirit's way of saying, there's stuff changing in your life now. Things are shifting, things are moving, but there's a little bit of passivity going on there, meaning Spirit wants you to go, this is what I want. And by saying this is what I want, then all of the variables and all of the little sort of puzzle pieces of life that you can't be aware of start to pull themselves together to make that picture come together if it's part of your destiny, which obviously you may or may not be aware of. But it's not about the manifestation, it's all about the heart and the heart being activated, because the heart is what we're working on. We're not working on the outcome or the manifestation. Okay, so next card coming after that was Wind Element. So whenever the Wind Element card is present, it's saying that there's a great amount of wind energy that you may have too much of, or there may be the perfect amount. And this card this week was basically saying that there's a lot of wind energy, but it's great for you. And so you can utilize that to essentially use your mind and activate your mind to be able to really clearly identify what habits, behaviors, and patterns you needed to get out of moving forward. And the only way to do that is through the air element, because the air element can identify variables like that and experiences, but not get emotionally wrought into it and feel really crap about it. So then the next card we moved into was Soul Walk-In. Whenever the Soul Walk-In card appears, it means that you're going to get a download of energy from your higher self or your higher soul. And whenever this happens, suddenly we start to feel a little bit different about things. We make new decisions. We want to be around different people. But ultimately, it sort of is a moment when we go, I've had enough of that. That's old. Now it's going to change. Have a think about that. Did you feel any of those sort of decisions occur somewhere, either subconsciously or very consciously this week? That was the energy of your higher soul coming in and prompting you to move forward. The next card was Archangel Raguel. Archangel Raguel being present here, it's essentially always a sign that Spirit has heard that we felt that things haven't been particularly fair or just this week. And so him being the Archangel of Divine Justice is essentially saying that Spirit has sent him to be with us to identify what needs balancing, or if there's been any kind of injustice occur this week, or maybe it's part of the past life patterns that you've identified. If anything within those topics has been unfair, he will start making a ruling or a judgment to ensure that this becomes balanced and fair for you moving forward. But the key part of that message is you need to surrender it. If you're too busy feeling as though that person treats me so terribly and I treat them so better, or this should have happened for me and this was my opportunity but it didn't happen for me, if you continue to hold on to that energy in that kind of way, nothing will shift because you haven't surrendered. Okay, so then the last card was good attitude to money. Whenever this card is present, it means that there's been a dynamic shift in our relationship to how we make money and whether or not we believe we deserve it and whether or not we can hold on to it. And so this card being present at the very end of the week is essentially saying that by us doing that work at the start of the week, there was going to be a very real payoff for that learning and that transformation. But as you'll notice, all of this transformation and benefit was really hinged upon whether or not you were going to identify these cycles, behaviors, patterns, and habits, and it probably wasn't going to be particularly enjoyable. Do you have friends around you that shouldn't be around you? Do you need to change that? How is your relationship with your career and opportunities going? Are you far too negative about it? Do you really not believe that you're not going to get anywhere? Or love. Do you create such a negative, almost toxic expectation of how you're going to get rejected? All of these elements, they all come down to you. And so Spirit wanted to force these things out this week so that you could clearly identify that something within me needed to change in order for me to be reborn. That is the theme of the Agitated Phoenix. So now let's move on. And so last week I did a few more messages than I planned to, and I thought, why not? It's the first week. But so this week I've only picked one, and so this came from YouTube. And so the question is from Dan, and the card is, what does Spirit want me to know about my career moving forward? And so this card, or this question rather, let's have a look at what the card says. The very first clairvoyant message that I'm getting from you as I start to shuffle is of some kind of like stone or rock golem. So this has a couple of different meanings. One, there's a large amount of resistance and protection that's been coming forward from you. But also, the energy or the imagery of a golem is essentially that of a guardian and a protector. But there's a lot of aggression going on in here. So there really needs to be a lot more sort of gentleness and flow coming through here, because you're very on edge and you're very much so at war at the moment. And so in relation to something like career, that's essentially saying that if you're at war with your opportunities and if you're at war with everyone you encounter, you're not going to have a peaceful time of it. And also, if people feel they're at war, they'll go to war with you. Okay, so the card that Spirit wants for you is, you're emerging from the cocoon, prepare to soar. This card being present for you in relation to what I just talked about, it's saying that right now you've been in a cocoon. You've been taken out of the position of where you were going to achieve things or where you were going to feel as though you were going to be in a springboard to do X, Y, Z. You've been in a cocoon because you really needed to take a moment to heal and reflect and regenerate. And it's important now to sit still long enough with a very open heart to be able to sense into, like I said for this week, it's all about changing those habits and patterns and behaviors to really identify what within you needs to change. Is there some component of you that's complicating the energy that wants to come towards you? And that is a theme for anyone who wants something that hasn't gotten it yet. Is there a part of you energetically that's complicating the scenario? And if there is, this is your week to change all of those dynamics. Okay, so that is this week's question. And as I said, this was all about the agitated phoenix. So really embrace that theme of transformation. Look back over your week. If there was anything that you didn't act upon, but you really feel as though listening to this you should have, it's now your time to do it. Because now we're going to be into a brand new week, new energy, so you just want to catch up in that particular lesson or theme. Make sure you either head to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter even. Leave me your comment and ask and say you want to be included in your question for the following week. And now a lot of people have been leaving me questions like, when's this going to happen for me? And when's this going to happen for me? XYZ. Feel free to answer different questions like, what's it like on the other side? What is healing? How does it work? What does this type of illness mean? Ask me things about the universe as well if you have those kinds of questions, because those sorts of things teach lots more people as opposed to just asking something solely about you. And then each week the question that I answer will be in relation to whatever the theme or the topic or the learning was going to be. So that's going to be how I frame it moving forward. But then also, if you're following me on Instagram, I'm going to start doing something on Tuesdays called Tag Todd Tuesdays, where if you tag your friends in the comment field in the picture, then you can potentially have a card pulled by me for you, and so will the friend that you tag. So the more people you tag, the more opportunity you have to get your card pulled. So that will happen on Instagram, so make sure you're following me on there. If you like this video, please give it a like, comment in the field below, and also make sure that you've subscribed. But also it would help me out so much if you could share these things and this video especially with other people, because it's the easiest way for me to get these types of messages across and make sure that a lot of people are getting the best out of each and every opportunity of energetic growth that they can do. So thank you so much for listening, and make sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know how this related to you, how you felt about it, and also other things that you'd like to see me do videos about in the future. I've got some other ideas that are sort of bubbling away, and that'll just be the right amount of time as to when that will happen. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.